Hello and welcome everyone to our Black Orlando Tech webinar online. Thank you so much for everyone who is joining us and everywhere that you are. We are about to get started in just 1 minute, but I want to take a quick moment just to introduce myself. My name is Sophia Porter, and I'm the Executive Director for Black Orlando Tech. And again, just welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We want you to, of course, in the comments, if you can, share your name, where you're from, and what industry that you are currently a part of. You should be having a lot of great people online today, and I'm super excited to introduce our speaker. His name is Orrett Davis, and he is the founder and commander of growth at Mighty Orbit, a demand generation agency specializing in B2B and health tech companies. So we're super excited to have him on board. We're just going to give just a couple more minutes to get some more people spilled over until we get started with him. So please go ahead and put your name, where you're from, and what industry you are from as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Orette to get us started. I will be at the end of his presentation. If you stay by, we'll be doing Q&A, but also just a spillover in regards to what is going on with Black Orlando Tech currently. We have a lot of great programming that is currently live, and we're super excited to tell you. But first, we're going to go ahead and get started with the workshop.
Hey, I think I'm live. Hey everyone. So my name's Orrett Davis, Commander of Growth at Mighty Orbit. Really excited to kind of share this talk and presentation to you with you today on basically how to build a predictable sales pipeline using cold email. So this is really kind of showing you how you can build a predictable sales pipeline without relying on referrals, spending a bunch of money on ads, expensive sales teams, and probably worst of all, like leaving your growth to chance, right? So we want to do everything to put your growth, your sales process into your hands, and the process, measurable process that you can rely on. So this really covers the exact process that we use with our clients, the exact process that we use ourselves, and how we've used it to grow not only our agency but also our client revenues in various industries. So, and then we'll share this presentation at the end. But like we said, my name is Orrett. I've provided a bunch of links to YouTube channels, to my LinkedIn, other videos and trainings that we have across the board, or case studies in our design gallery if you're interested in taking a look. But you'll have access to this at the end of the presentation. So, who is this for? I really structured this around being for CEOs, founders, marketing and sales leaders, any kind of B2B tech or health companies. But this can actually work across the board as long as your target audiences is in the B2B space, right? So this is not meant for anyone that's doing B2C or selling directly to consumers. This is meant for anyone that's selling from business to business. You should have a well-defined ICP, so your ideal customer profile. You know exactly who they are, their pain points and their problems and challenges, inside and out, because you'll need to use those messaging directly when you're crafting your emails. You should have proof of success. So we think of case studies, testimonials, anything that can kind of show that you can actually deliver what you promise. And if you are looking for a way to scale your customer acquisition cost effectively, then you're in the right place. Just some proof that this process can work. So these are some of the campaigns that we've launched. So you can see that all these here in red are meetings that we've booked for ourselves or customers. You can see like our overall kind of reply rate and kind of what's coming in as the positive replies, and just some sample emails that have come back. Someone says, I usually decline these offers, but I happen to open your email today on day of frustration. I'd like to learn more. This makes a lot of sense. Let's see what this one says. I'm interested. So this whole process overall can work, and what we're really looking for are these types of positive replies. So as we dive in, I think there's really two core issues that kill most companies. And the first one is an over-reliance on referrals, right? So referrals are really great earlier on if you're looking to gain early traction, but this can quickly run out, and it leaves most companies scrambling to find their next source of predictable, scalable pipeline, right? So after you've run through your network, your investor list, your sales team, everyone's kind of stuck trying to figure out what's next. And a lot of companies really fail or struggle to get past this point. And then the second piece is going to be insufficient lead volume, right? Which kind of goes hand in hand with the first one there, but really lacking the process systems to attract, engage, and convert leads at scale. And if you don't do this right, it really sets you up for stalled or delayed growth. So when we think about cold email, one thing that you have to kind of keep in mind, and this is where a lot of people go wrong with cold email, is that you need to understand kind of the volume that's required to get results, right? The volume and the time and the consistency needed to see results over a long stretch of time. When we talk to companies and they said they've tried cold email, and we asked them, hey, how many emails do you send out? They sent out a few hundred. They sent it out only for a couple of weeks or for a month. But there's not enough big consistency over a long enough time to really see the return on investment for cold email. And one of the favorite examples of this, just overall a good business use case, is from Alex Ramosi. And he's talking about sending out flyers. And he talked to his mentor. His mentor said, hey, you need to hand out flyers. He goes back to his mentor and said, hey, this didn't work. I passed out 300 flyers. And the mentor kind of looks at him and say, hey, we don't test with anything less than 5,000 flyers. So you really need to up the volume when you're sending out cold email. And same thing for a lot of business activities as well too. The volume will help you get the results that you're looking for and your desire. And I always thought this is such a great example because we've learned this specific example ourselves, where we were super proud of sending out 300, 500 emails in a week. And now we've basically 10x that volume in order to kind of get the results that's needed to see success with some of these cold email tactics. So talked about volume. So with that kind of goes the math equation of how you can kind of get cold email to work and kind of what some of those numbers look like. So in this, I have shared, and I'll share with everyone here on this call, is kind of the cold email calculator. All right. So kind of depending on your goal. So this could be for your company or for yourself, for agency. What's your annual goal? Your average client value over the course of time. We can kind of use this to kind of figure out some back end math into how many emails you need to send, how many contacts, and kind of what's required to kind of meet that goal, kind of following some general industry best practices and standards. So on the right hand side, we're going to assume, for example, 247, I think that's right, 247 working days. So we only send emails Monday through Friday, generally speaking. We generally use a contact to lead ratio of about 600. For some markets where it's incredibly saturated, SEO or selling to agencies and things like that, this number might need to be bumped up to 1,000 to 2,000 contacts to lead ratio. And then generally speaking, these are more industry standards. The show rate, about 70%, qualified rate, 70%, and close rate, around 20%. If you're really good at sales, this should be upwards of 30% for your close rate, if not higher. And then email sequence length, we generally do between 3 to 4, so we use 3, and then emails per day. You can adjust this, but kind of using these numbers, you can kind of see, you need to send, 60,000 emails to get these many books, to get this show rate, qualified calls, to get you the 10 clients you need in order to reach these targets. So at the end of the day, you're kind of looking to be sending 30 emails per day from 25 accounts to get you to that $100,000 in ARR. So this really works well if you have larger contract values, right, where the math gets really, really good, where you require like less accounts with less volume. So if your contract value is like $1,000 or less, a couple $100, I don't really recommend cold email as a tactic for you because the numbers really just don't work out in the long run. And like I said, I'll share this. I'll share access to this calculator so that you have access to it as well too at the end of this presentation, so you can take a look and see how the numbers work for yourself. So talked a little bit about kind of the math required. So now let's talk about a little bit about how you think about the kind of the messaging and some of the copy on a high level when you're doing cold email. And the one thing that you need to understand is this key difference between a service versus an offer. And a lot of times when we see that either companies or individuals, they lead a lot of time with the service when really your buyer cares about your offer. And one of the best ways I've found to really show this is if you think about Papa John's, right? So they are a pizza restaurant and pizza delivery. Like that is the service that they provide. But the offer, like this is what you buy and what you expect to get, is a 5-topping pizza for $14.99, delivered fresh to your door in 30 minutes, guaranteed or you don't pay. That's the offer, right? It's what the prospect gets, what they want to provide. Similar for web design, right? If your service is web design, but what people are actually buying is a high converting website that gets 20% more conversions guaranteed. In digital marketing, it could be, we'll get you in front of 5,000 decision makers in your industry and help you book 5 to 10 sales calls in 30 days. And if you sell a medical device, right, it could be, we help physicians catch 2x as many missed patient referrals, right? So really need to understand the service, because most people lead with that, versus the offer, which is what you should actually be leading with. And then spend a second here talking about like demand capture versus demand generation offers, because I think this is also really important. And this really ties back as well too towards that contact to lead ratio. So demand capture, this is when someone is really not actively looking to purchase a product or purchase your service. So this falls a lot of times web design, logo design, accounting, insurance. That people will only buy if they're currently actively in a buying mood. Versus a demand generation offer is where you can actually create demand for that, right? Like lead generation, conversion rate optimization, email marketing, things like that. They're generally quantifiable. Views, leads, meetings, calls, sales, revenue. If someone will always take on more revenue. Someone will always want to get more sales calls. Someone will always want to book more demos. So you don't necessarily need to create the demand for that, versus on the other side, you do. And so just all of this kind of really just summarize, just kind of keep this in mind as you're thinking about how you craft offers, how you write cold emails, is that no one buys a web design. They are buying the results that web design gets them. No one's buying a medical device. They're buying the results a medical device produces for them. And no one buys just software. They're buying the results that the software, the platform gets them. So now we've talked about a little bit about the kind of campaign type stuff. Let's dive now into the actual setting up your outbound infrastructure. So this is going to be the tips and best practices that you need for cold email success. And the first thing that we'll start with is going to be around domain management. And we generally start with 10 domains using a mix of prefixes or suffixes related to our brand or to your brand. So for example, for us, our primary domain is mightyorbit.co. So we have domains like Go, Mighty Orbit, Try Mighty Orbit, Mighty Orbit HQ, Get, or Growth, ROI Pipeline, either before and or after our primary brand name. And so we kind of use these as our burner secondary email addresses, right? And so with that, you will want to forward these burner domains back to your primary domain. So if someone happens to Google or search or paste in, go mightyorbit.co or .com, it gets redirected back to our primary domain. Right? So that's the one thing to kind of keep in mind is you want to make sure you do that on whichever platform or service that you use to purchase your domains. And so you can just see there's an example of that there. And the reason why we do this, so it's a small note here, but it's actually a really, really big deal, is you want to separate your cold outbound activity from any of your primary domain. So whether if you have your newsletter or you're sending out transactional emails, you never want to mix your cold outbound activities with your main domain items. And it just basically helps to eliminate or minimize the risk of your main domain getting blacklisted, right? So it's okay if your secondary or burner domains get marked as spam, but as long as we want to always protect your primary or main domain. And if there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd love to do this a little more interactive, and so we can kind of take time to answer that as you see. So if anything pops out, please drop some comments as we keep going here. So We've talked about now kind of the domain management, like how you like to think about it. So 10 plus domains, kind of prefixes and suffixes. Uh, Email account setup is next really big thing. So for each domain that we purchase, we set up 2 sending addresses. So that's using either Outlook or Google, or setting up say like a private SMTP server. This is supposed to say server there. So you'll end up with, say, 20 sending addresses, around 20 to 25 emails per day. So you basically end up with a 500 email per day capacity. And you always want to make sure that you limit your outbound capacity to no more than 25 emails per day. And a lot of recent changes for this are actually people are being encouraged to even limit that even smaller sending volumes per day to down to, say, 20 or to 15 because of some recent changes that both Google and Outlook have made to their email sending and delivery platforms. So you can kind of see here, that's kind of what this number is. It's like my daily limit was I had sent out 7 of 25 email addresses. So kind of keep that in mind as you're thinking about this. And the goal there is to help distribute your sending of volume across the different accounts and make sure that you maintain a healthy sending volume, right? So you don't want to send hundreds of emails from one domain. You want to spread that load out across these 20 different sending addresses. So that way it minimizes the chance of any one of them being blacklisted or marked as spam accounts. And so, yeah, so that's that there. And I'll dive into this. This is one of the tools that we've now started using and recommending because of some of the changes is having some automated account email infrastructure set up. So this is something now a lot of the cold email platforms are starting to offer so they'll help automatically set up your Gmail and your Outlook infrastructure. So I'll talk about that one a little bit further along as well too. So continuing on with best practices, on the technical side, you want to make sure that you're implementing the email authentication standards, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. These are basically now, all 3 of these are basically required in order for you to potentially land in the inbox. There's a really good guide that Smartly put out there, kind of how to actually set this up. But a lot of these outbound tools will help to facilitate the process of setting up these standards as well too. But it's really simple. It's just adding them to your DNS. You can kind of see some of what that kind of looks like here. And then just kind of having those parameters with your domain name service providers. And then part of that as well too, kind of once you have your technical setup, once you have your domain, you want to go through a minimum of 2 weeks worth of warm up. And that really helps to kind of mimic the actions of a real email user. So you basically join a warm-up pool with other people where you're both sending and receiving emails and opening them up, kind of looking like human activity. But this helps to warm up the accounts. Like I said, generally run this for 2 weeks. And so this is kind of just a quick, this is the image of our dashboard from Smartlead for one of the accounts, just showing, had number of emails that were sent, those that landed in the inbox, those that got saved from spam, and then the emails received. And then, we have our basically outbound status of the email performance over the last 2 weeks, making sure that everything is in the green and all good for that. And then adding on there, in terms of deliverability, once again, biggest recommendations that we make is when you're sending out your emails, absolutely no links, no open tracking. You don't want any of these things that will have the tendency to reduce your deliverability or have you go into spam. And part of that is for a lot of these platforms, everyone is using the same email tracking open pixel or link. And same thing with HTML in there. It can get flagged. So we generally recommend just turning all this off because at the end of the day, deliverability is the most important thing when you're sending out cold emails. You want to make sure that you're landing in the inbox, because if you're not landing in the inbox, there's almost no point in doing cold outbound. And similarly, plain text, like no HTML. So we always have these flagged whenever we are sending out emails. And then something recently that we started doing is turning on email provider matching. So We recommend getting a mix of both Outlook domains, of Google domains, and basically a private SMT server domains as well too, to improve your deliverability. But one of the cool features that some of these platforms have is the ability to match sending accounts to the receiving accounts. So if you're sending to a contact that is using Outlook, it would use your Outlook inboxes. If you're sending to Google, it will match it with someone that has Google. And kind of what we've seen recently in the last few weeks, Outlook has made a bunch of changes. Google's made a bunch of changes. It seems that this is now kind of one of those critical factors or changes that you've made, and something that we've made to improve our deliverability is matching the sending accounts to the receiving accounts. So when we now purchase domains, we purchase a few on Outlook, we purchase a few on Google, and then we have a few kind of backup on our own some SMT type servers as well too, to really help with deliverability. Awesome. I think, yeah, so that's it for kind of just email delivery best practices. If you follow these, you'll generally be on the good path and ensure that your emails are actually landing in the inbox. Like I said, that's the most critical piece. So from here, the next item that we generally focus on is going to be on your ICP, and really understanding and defining your ideal customer profile and your targeting. So it's not enough just to say, hey, we're going to go after B2B SaaS companies, or it's not enough to say we're going to go after private practices or clinics or whatever, law firms or whatever that may be. You really have to get very, very, very specific in terms of your ideal customer profile, what that looks like. And we like to break this down in kind of 3 high-level buckets. So there's the demographic information. So this is the titles, job titles, the roles, could be location, seniority, maybe even the time in their current role, like how long they've been at a specific company. We break that down into the firmographics. So it's the company size, the location of the company, maybe even the funding status. And there could be a couple other parameters here. For example, is a specific department growing, or are there even people in a specific department, right? So a lot of times we're going after companies that don't have a full-fledged marketing departments. So we might want to go after companies, for example, that don't have 0 for the marketing department category, or maybe have 1 or 2 where we know it's a small early stage marketing team, but all the other, they might have large sales numbers. And then the other piece to take a look at is the technographic. So this is really targeting companies based on some of the technologies that they're using or their tech stack. So that could be everything from their CMS, are they using WordPress? Are they using Webflow? Are they using a CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce? Do they have the Google Tag Manager or Facebook pixels on their site? And you can kind of pick and choose what some of the tech tools are, and if that's relevant to your business, but that's also really helpful to know. So for example, we have a strong bias and strong preference towards companies that use HubSpot. So we tend to, when we do our outbound targeting, we tend to filter for HubSpot users. And if we're going to reach out to Salesforce, people using Salesforce, that might be a lower priority for us on some of this. We would build out some of these lists. And there's several really great tools out there to help you build your target list of customers. There's everything from Apollo, which I think is a great just general list. A lot of people know Seamless or Zoom Info. I think Apollo's kind of come onto its own now, and it's basically our preferred platform. If you're going after any kind of B2B tech or SaaS company where funding might be a really important requirement for you, Crunchbase is a great tool for that. You have platforms like that are vertical specific. So Definitive Health, for example, or like Alpha Sophia, if you're going after physicians or hospital networks or anything like that, those vertical specific platforms can be really great for that. If you're going after more general, Apollo is really good. And like I said, if you're doing B2B SaaS or anything, or in tech, Crunchbase is a good tool for that. And then there's also a tool like Clay, which can help you kind of build your own list. It can be a great aggregator and enrichment tool as well too. And hopefully at the end of this, if I have a little bit of time, I'll give a demo or walkthrough of Clay. Let's see. Perfect. So it's ICP. And then as you're building out your target list and you're exporting these contacts out, the one thing that you want to make sure that you do, because every platform is going to say, hey, we've double verified or triple verified all the contacts on this list. You want to make sure that on the back end you do your own verification. So you do your own verification. So that's things like Million Verifier. We're a big fan of that. It's a really good tool to help you double verify the accounts and to make sure that you're not emailing to catch-all or risky domains or accounts that are made just not work. So we always recommend verifying accounts. So yeah, so the question here was, what was the ICP site for physicians? So there's two that we use. There's Definitive Healthcare, and then there's another one called Alpha Sophia. If I have a second here later, I'll try and pull it up. But Alpha Sophia is another one as well too. There are a few more, but like I said, it really depends on your target market. If you're going after specific verticals, if you want, say, like insurance providers or self-employed or things like, really just depends. But the big one in the industry is Definitive Healthcare, super pricey. A new upstart that we've heard good things about is one called Alpha Sophia, and there are a few more as well, a few others as well too. So yeah, great question. Keep them coming. All right. And then, oh, nice. So I think next up, I have actually a live demo, just kind of workshop of walking through building out an ICP on Apollo. So this is actually one of our previous targeted lists that we've used. And then I can give a live demo here as soon as it gets loaded. Perfect. So the really great thing about these tools, like I said, is you can go through and really build out really, really detailed targeting. And so in this example, we have personas defined, right? So if I go through here, for example, we target a lot of like marketing leaders, CEOs, founders, people in sales and revenue. So example here, I want directors of marketing, marketing managers, head of marketing, CMOs. I do not want, at least for me, I don't want anyone that's in product marketing, anyone that's an advisor, consultant, a specialist, chief medical officer, right? So that's often confused with a chief marketing officer. So they both have CMO. So I want to exclude out the medical officer, but I do want to include the CMO, the marketing officer. And then you can adjust by management level, right? So we want VPs and C-suite or directors or managers. Once again, it's really going to depend on your company and your target market. The employers that you want to go. Some people want to pick bigger or smaller companies, or that might be a sweet spot. And so you can kind of adjust that as well too. So someone's asking, get a copy, will be sent to email. Yeah, so if as long as you're on the bot email list, you'll get a copy of this. If not, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I see that you're on LinkedIn, and I'll send you a copy as well too. But the primary recommendation would be to join the bot mailing list, and everyone there will get access to this. And I'm sure at some point in time we'll drop links to that as well too, so you can sign up for the newsletter. Continuing on with some of the breakdowns and details. We've already talked about personas, email verified status. Let's do some of the company breakdowns now as well too. So we have employers, we have industry keywords that you can break into. So for us, we do a lot of software. So we go after EHR, mobile health, and things like that. Specific industries, so hospitals, mental health care, medical practices, medical devices. And you can even get as specific as like buying intent. People that are looking for HubSpot consulting providers. The intent thing is not always the most accurate, but it is something that can be used as a test. And maybe then you can do specific outreach kind of messaging saying, hey, saw that you could be looking for HubSpot providers. And then I talked about the technographics. I'll just show that example really quickly. So technologies. And then if I go here and say it's like Facebook, let's do Facebook conversion tracking. All right, so these potentially should be the companies, at least from the list that I have there of all the other requirements, that have the Facebook conversion tracking pixel on their site. And that should mean they're either running ads currently or at some point in the future, they could be looking to run ads. Yeah, so drop any questions that you may have on Apollo, kind of on list building. Like I said, this is really powerful part of the process is really like dialing in this ICP, because if you get this dialed in, it really helps your messaging, because then you can reference certain things as well too. So like, hey, I saw that you're using HubSpot, or hey, I saw that your company's growing. You've recently added on X number of employees, or hey, realize uh, you have a small sales team, right? Hey, your sales team is only 3 people. Are you looking to scale up, or whatever that may be? Perfect. So if there's no questions, we'll keep moving on there and head back to the rest of the presentation. Perfect. Awesome. So yeah, so that's ICPs. Like I said, if you have any specific ICP questions, feel free to drop them in the chat as well too. I'll make sure to get to them. So now let's move on to crafting email copy that actually gets you booked meetings, right? And the biggest advice I can tell you is, like, people are busy and no one wants to read a wall of text from a stranger, right? And I'm sure everyone here has received cold emails or unsolicited outreach where it's a long wall of text and it's like, hey, my name is so and so, and da 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 da, and no one has time for that. A lot of people are not going to read it. You're going to see very low response rates. The recommendation, like best practice industry standard, is like keep the email length under 60 words. You might be able to bump this up in certain cases to 75, but really keep this short, keep it very punchy, directly address target pain points and the goals, offer value in your outreach, right? Provide proof with those case studies that I mentioned. And I would say also test your CTAs, right? Between offering a resource, videos, versus doing the direct call to meeting, right? As you're doing your outreach, the only metric you care about is the positive reply rate, right? That's the number one metric that you're looking for, is how many people are responding positively to your emails and saying, yes, I want information. Yes, I'm interested in booking a call, or send me pricing or whatever that may be. And that's the reason why we don't track opens, because opens can be miscued. Basically, all the platforms, Gmail, Outlook, they all pre-open an email to check for viruses. So open rates will be much higher than they normally are. Same thing with clicks. Clicks can kind of be miscued as well too. So the real metrics that we cared about are kind of these two: reply rates and most importantly, positive reply rates. Reply rates overall are just a good metric to see that you are landing an inbox, because most of these will be, say, out of office, or I'm not interested, or no thanks, or even like take me off your list. Perfectly fine, perfectly okay. But you can use that as a proxy to see, like, am I really landing an inbox? Generally, for the reply rate as a whole, we want to see 5% or more for reply rate. If you're less than that, it generally means you're probably having some deliverability issues. You're probably landing in spam. So we look at reply rate as a whole as a good proxy. Are we landing in the inbox? And we look at positive reply rate as the real metric. Like, is this offer, is this messaging resonating with our target audience? Are we actually booking meetings? And if you're not getting necessarily a good positive reply rate, it means you need to go back to the drawing board and rework your offer, rework the copy, whatever it may be, and then try again. Like, that's really what it means. In terms of the sequence length, so the amount of outreaches, amount of touch points that you have, we generally recommend a 3 to 4 part email sequence when doing cold outbound. This is going to depend on your specific industry, but 3 to 4 is kind of the sweet spot. For some industries, though, we have actually started moving to very shorter sequences of basically 2 to 3 parts, and a lot of times just 2-part emails. First email, and then a second email that's more like along the lines of, the reason for my last email was XYZ. Want to reiterate this information, and then see if you're interested in watching a video or whatever it may be. So, like I said, no more than between 2 to 4. Generally speaking, no more than 4 in your outbound sequence. If you do 5, 6, 7, like, you'll have a much greater chance of people marking you as spam. You start to ruin your overall deliverability. Like I said, everything just cold outbound generally needs to be like short, sweet, and very punchy. So this is kind of just there. We have our 1, 2, 3, 4. Just some more best practices in terms of how we typically run outbound campaigns is we like to test with a minimum of around 1,000 contacts per messaging test. So in this example here, we have email number 1, which is the start of the sequence. That email has 4 variations that we're testing, right? And each of those variations, we want to send out to about 1,000 people to help us understand, kind of how the overall campaign is performing. So in this example, I have email A, B, C, and D. Right? They each got around 1,100 contacts were sent to them. I can see our general reply rate. And like I said, I'm really only concerned though about the positive reply rate. And so from this sequence, I can see that email B has a 14% and then email C has a 10%, right? So those, generally speaking, are probably my 2 winners. I should then go and create a new variation of email B, change things slightly and see if we can improve that. And that's for me what ended up becoming email E, right? Which at that point in time, that snapshot had 0 positive replies. So kind of as you're thinking about this, that's kind of the structure that you want to put in place and kind of continue to test and refine your messaging to kind of get to the like perfect copy, perfect sequence. And then just some examples of some of these quick, short, punchy emails. Like I said, less than 60 words. We have one here. It's hey, Daniel, spotted some things on your homepage that might be hurting your sales pipeline. Record a quick 3-minute video with solutions. Can I share it with you? Right, just really quick, short to the point. These tend to work really well. These kind of similar messages here, where it's can I share something with you? And then here's another one that we wrote, also kind of within that word length. Right, it's like, hey, Bradley, found you on LinkedIn. Looks like you're doing big things. Just wanted to reach out. We help B2B tech companies reach 5,000 plus decision makers and book 5 to 10 qualified meetings guaranteed. Is this worth a quick chat? Right. So here I'm really just testing. Can I share a video with you versus is this worth a quick chat? Like, can we book a quick call? Are you interested? The whole point of this is you really just want a prospect, a lead, to raise their hand and just show interest. You just want them to say yes. Right. And you want to reduce friction. So a lot of times doing the direct to meeting can be a lot of friction. So it's better to reduce the friction and say, hey, would you be interested if I shared a video? Or I have this resource. Can I share it with you? Or it's a smaller ask, right? And it's easier for someone to say, yeah, I'll take a look. And then from there, you can continue with outreach or connect in other places. But as long as they kind of, slightly express interest and raise their hand. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So continuing on with kind of email, this is a little bit more technical. And this is about the use of spin tags to avoid landing in spam. And spin tag basically allows you to replace variables or like random variables in your email copy randomly, right? So in this example here, we have spin tags in the header, so in the intro section. We have it in some of the body copy, and then we have it in the footer, right? So in this email, everyone that gets this email receives some variation of hello first name, hi first name, good morning first name, happy Thursday, right? Hello, so forth and so on, right? So we end up with say 50, 100 different variations of an email where the intro, outro are all different, and we've even started spin taxing the entire body copy of the email itself as well too, right? So in this example, I'm just showing you, it says I'll be brief or I'll be quick. So those are 2 variations there. But in some of the other copy as well too, where it says like recently helped. So we recently assisted or whatever it may be. Just kind of using various synonyms that make sense logically, but make the emails all appear unique to every individual that's receiving it. So I've shared some, like I said, we have access to this document, but I've shared some greeting examples, like I talked about, kind of the hello first names of the world, but then also some of the opt-out examples. All right. So for someone to opt out of receiving your email, we've spin taxed that as well too. And Another area which I think is really cool that people do to do spin tags, which has another layer of variability and customization to this, is doing spin tags for quotes, right? So someone will put in 20 or 30 different quotes, and that way every single email that goes out basically gets a unique quote. They get a unique greeting example and get a unique opt-out, and then also unique body copy as well too, right? So it's everything goes out unique. Perfect. So yeah, so that's spin tags. Like it's a little bit more advanced, but pretty critical if you're going to do this. The next piece I'll talk about is just inbox management. As you start to scale your outreach, inbox management becomes a really important piece of the puzzle. The ideal goal, and we try and do this, have this kind of service level agreement where if a lead reaches out, you want to have basically a pretty rapid response back to them. Best practice is an hour or less. If you can do even faster than that, that's like clear, you increase your chances of winning. You don't want to necessarily wait, say 24 hours or 48 hours to respond to someone that expressed interest, right? So speed to lead is the word there. You want to be really quick with your follow-ups. And part of the way to help with that process is on, for example, Smart Lead has their AI lead categorizations for you. So kind of helping you to auto tag out of office, someone that requests more information, do not contact. If someone's interested in your product or service, Smart Lead will help automatically kind of categorize this for you. So that way it makes it easier for you to filter out and know who you should be responding to. And so kind of this example here, Smart Lead will automatically categorize do not contact, information request, out of office, wrong person, interested, not interested. And will even, for people that are categorized as out of office, it will re-enroll them into a campaign, 7, 10, 15 days later. So in this example, I have it at 15 days. And then something that we do for the kind of helping to that speed to lead is we use webhooks. So we get Slack notifications immediately as a lead comes in. So that way we can go through and immediately respond to them. We don't have to live inside of our outbound setting tools. So we get a Slack notification. There's ways to set this up so you can get a text alert or whatever it may be. So that way we can quickly respond to anyone that expressed interest and enroll them into, say, subsequences, right? So I have a question here, asking basically, is cold email, so I said cold email is not appropriate for B2C or low ticket items, but is cold email justifiable for B2C ultimately offering a higher ticket service? And the general guidelines there is just like B2C is just a no-go zone for cold email. That's kind of where you end up a lot more into the canned spam things and items like that. You'll end up into much more spam. So we really stick to kind of the B2B for cold email. So that's general advice there is just avoid B2C when you're doing, B2C when doing cold email. Let's see. Yeah, I think I talked about this, but if you have a prospect that expressed interest, ask for more information, the outreach doesn't stop there, right? Because that then starts another round of potentially follow-ups. So if someone expressed interest, you might send them some more information, and then you want to kind of make sure to continue the follow-up process. So we generally do things like subsequences where if someone asks for the video, we send them the video. There might be a 3-part follow-up from that saying, hey, did you get a chance to watch the video? Hey, make sure you look at the 1 minute and 40-second mark on the video because I talk about this really awesome point, right? Because until someone actually books the meeting, you want to continue the follow-up. The follow-up is the most important part of doing just doing sales and just doing marketing as a whole. So just make sure you kind of keep up with those activities. So I think I have, perfect. I can show some additional live examples here, some cold email templates. These are some of the old ones that we've run before in the past. Just to kind of give you a quick example here. And I've kind of catalyzed these, sales assets, you got 2-liners, pain points, tried and true, and offers. So once again, really short, punchy. Hey, first name. Notice company name is similar to a client who we just helped add another 247K in new pipeline, increasing conversions by 40% in 3 months, implementing our demand generation system. Created a guide to marketing covering the strategy we used. Are you the best person to send this to? Right. So we've kept it short. We have some case studies here of kind of the proof that we can do what we want. And then now we're offering this guide, which talks about how, hey, this is how you can do the same thing. And then asking for permission. Basically, can we send this to you? These are just more follow-up sequences there. Let's go to the two-liner one. This is a quick question, made a guide, health tech marketing guide for you covering demand generation system. We use, can I send it to you? And we have one for pain. Notice a few mistakes in your website, potentially hurting your sales by 37%. Made a quick video covering these mistakes. May I send it over to you? So these are some examples. These are older campaigns that we've used that we're no longer using today. But my advice, don't just copy these. Use these as guides to adjust it for your own business, product, or service. Because like I said, these may have already been used by a lot of people already. And you want to stand out. Let's see what else we have here. I think that's really it for the core presentation that I have. We talked about how to think about some of the messaging, how to talk about deliverability. We showed some of the technical setup as well too, from how to do the technical setup, how to purchase, how to set up the emails, number of emails that you should be getting based off of the formulation there, and then how to build out your ICP list as well too. So I'll kind of take it here. Love to open it up for any Q&A. And then I also have some opportunities to potentially show some more advanced tools that we use to help us build out target lists. So I'm always a big fan of show and tell. So I'll kind of open up to see if there's any other questions.
Yeah, and while we're asking, that was actually gonna be one of my questions. Is a show and tell of like the different tools that can be utilized. But one question I did have was, is there any sort of like common like pitfalls that people can avoid when it comes to their build?
Yeah, I think the common pitfalls to avoid is one, making sure that you're spreading out, you're sending volume across multiple email addresses. That is just required now. You need to treat these email addresses as disposable, right? So if your deliverability lows or drop, just purchase a new domain. Just set up a new account. And then I think the other big one is just in the email copy itself is long walls of text, content that's just very, I, like me, versus really addressing how you can help whoever your target customers are. So I think those are the two of the biggest ones we see. And then the other one is just not really giving this time to sort itself out. It took us, we tried this on and off on our own for 2 or 3 months. And we really think we found like it really started clicking in around the 6-month mark for us. And that's us. That's after us hiring another agency to try and do it for us, realizing that they weren't doing such a good job, spending the time to kind of learn it ourselves. And now we're at the point where we've started to scale up our outbound, where, like I said, I was happy doing 500 a day or 500 a week at one point in time. And now we easily do that 5,000 a week, if not more. And we just at the volume.
Oh, that's amazing. So like once you like hit that, like, okay, this is finally working, it's starting to make sense, it's coming together. How do you also weave in like if there's anything in regards to like new sites or trends as well as you're going through the process?
Sorry, say the last part again. The new trends.
Yeah, like how do you keep up still, like knowing that you have something that's definitely working, but say for example, with any industry, there's always some new insight or new trend that
Yep.
comes up and pops up. Like how do you what do you recommend to like staying ahead of the curve and just making sure you're always being inventive? Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of things is one, I recommend joining just any of like there's some really great communities on Facebook that are dedicated towards these. So Smart Lead has a great Facebook and Slack group. Same thing with Instantly. So I think that's a really good way. Is like you want to learn from the people that are sending out a million emails a month, right? What are they seeing? Like, where do you see the industry, the trends going? And so joining those groups are a really great way to stay ahead of the curve and kind of understand what's working, what's not working. And I think with all things in marketing, right, it's a constant testing process. Like marketing is just one big science experiment, and it's the same thing with this. Like if you were running ads, you wouldn't just run ads once and then that'd be it. Like, oh, I found success with running ads. You continue to make new creative, you continue to make new landing pages. So it's the exact same principles here is you continue to do offer testing, you continue to do message testing, you continue to just see kind of what really works.
Let's see, we have a new question, so I'm gonna pop it up here on the screen. It's not too big. Yeah, there we go.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I'm in college right now. I'm in meta ads and web development. I'm looking for guidance on finding leads in other countries. Yeah, it's a really, really great question. So that really goes back towards a couple of things is looking at some of these um, like list building tools. So I
Mhm.
mentioned, for example, let's see if I can get it on my presentation here. I've mentioned Apollo, I've mentioned ListKit. So there's some really great tools to use that. And so you just want to make sure that you're building out, you have an understanding of who your target customers are. All right. So you said you're into web dev. So you need to understand, are you targeting web dev towards other agency owners where you want to be a white label provider? Are you targeting web dev towards small business providers? Are you targeting web dev towards enterprise companies and what that may be? Um, so you're really just having a strong understanding of that to help you build out your ICP list. And I think I'm close to getting my screen working here. Um, and hopefully I can show you some of these additional tools. Yep, here we go. So there is ListKit.
Are you sharing your screen currently?
I'm about to share it in a second
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah. So there's ListKit, which is a great tool here. So this one allows you to kind of build out that ICP depending on who you're targeting. Like I said, we've already talked about Apollo, which is another great tool here. These tools are paid, so kind of keep that in mind. You can always do this manually as well too, right? So you can use Twitter, you can use LinkedIn to kind of build out those lists. But these tools kind of make it really easy to build out those audiences. Right. So the other question was, I don't know if we can feature this one. Is there a CRM that makes it simple? Is there a CRM that makes it easier and simple to keep track of leads and activities? What would you recommend? So really great question. So depending on the tool that you're using, both Smart Lead and Instantly, some of the ones that we recommend, they actually have a built-in activity trackers. So you'll be able to know who responded, where their interest level is, and then go from there. We tend to work with kind of bigger tech companies. So our default is HubSpot for a lot of this stuff, which actually HubSpot has a pretty good free tier that will connect to these platforms, and their starter plan is I think $50 as well too, which isn't bad. So we recommend that. A couple other ones that we really like and are recommended by others kind of in this space are close.io or close.com, I believe, which is another one. I think it's close.io is another good one. Maybe it's close.com. There we go. Yep. Close is another great one. And Close is also really great if you want to add in additional sales motions to your process. So you can use like the Smart Leads of the world to do the outbound. You can use Close then to do SMS and text messages. You can use Close to then keep track of calls. So I would take a look at, depending on your overall sales motions, Close might be a better tool for you. If you have marketing as well too in the mix, HubSpot may be better. But generally speaking, between Close, HubSpot, and then if you need more like marketing automation, you have the Go High Levels of the world as well too, kind of in there in the ClickFunnels, but really just depends. But yeah, that's a great question.
Great. Awesome. Well, okay, guys, we are almost at time by 4 minutes. So if you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to place it in the comments and we can get them back up. But I just want to quickly just share a little bit things about bot or Black Girl in Tech with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen. Just give you a quick little rundown about us if you're new to us in general. Okay. There we go. Okay. You should see my Canva. So this is Black Girl in Tech. We are a nonprofit organization that is located in the Orlando, Florida area, USA. We were founded back in 2016 by Joshua Walker and Mike Felix, who really wanted to improve the economic growth of underserved communities in Central Florida. Our mission is very simple. We're just here to really enable and empower as many people that are in underrepresented communities to enter and thrive in the field of tech. And we aim to do this by increasing our awareness by activities, networks. We put on events such as these live and in person twice a month, every month now. Um, and there's a lot of value that you can get out of our workshops. Rather, if you want to learn about data analytics, cloud computing, sales funnels, etc. Like we have so many different events throughout the year where we're able to teach that to you. And just about a couple programs that we have currently running and up. We do have very exciting our tech startup launchpad accelerator that is currently live and running right now. We have currently had about, I want to say about 14 people who are startup founders who have already gone through the program. We are now on our third cycle for the year. This program or this accelerator is being taught by Jehu Francois and well with Joel Francois. Jehu is our startup director for Black Orlando Tech, so you are in great hands when it comes to this accelerator program. But if you have a tech startup, tech enabled in some sort of way, you are a founder, you have already probably either raised or you've already built a prototype, etc. I please welcome you to come and try out and apply for our accelerator program. The application will be open throughout. It's just already open, but will be open until September 1st. And that's when we're going to start selecting our next round of individuals to go through the program. So please go ahead and visit our website to apply for the program. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask below, and I can stay on over time to answer those for you. And then next, very exciting news. A lot of people have been waiting for this. We have just opened our application for our AWS cloud computing program, which is actually going to be taught by Bot's co-founder, Josh Walker. This program is going to be about 6 to 8 weeks long. We're looking to start our first cohort on this month, July 28th. And this is just a way to really prepare you for the AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification exam. So if you have any questions in regards to how this program works and all the ins and outs, please reach out. We do have, I want to say we do definitely have a recording from a past event that you can check out on our YouTube to learn more about what it's all about and just in general, what is cloud computing. But if you just go to our website, the application button is there at the bottom. You can click and apply, and then you'll hear about next steps from myself. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm not sure if we don't have any more questions, or I don't know if you want to do any more demos, but if not, you guys, if you have any questions, or I'll go ahead and let you just plug real quickly, like how can people find you? How can they locate you if they have any specific questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty easy. I think at least pretty easy to find me. I'm on LinkedIn and on YouTube, just under Orrett Davis. So ORRETT Davis, DAVIS. You can find me there, and then our website mightyorbit.co as well too. And then our YouTube channel has a bunch of resources and videos. I'm trying to do more like this. That if you're looking to drive revenue and pipeline for your company, you should check it out.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, same with the bot. You can find us on our website at blackorlandotech.org. We have an office here in the Orlando area. If you ever want to catch coffee, have questions, definitely reach out to, and someone on our team will set that up with you. We're on Instagram. Our Instagram account the handle is ITS Black Orlando Tech. We had to get a new IG. It's a whole story. I don't want to really get into it, but just want to put that in there if you want to keep up to date of any news and what we have going on, especially upcoming events. Please go and follow the Instagram account along with our Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn as well. And thank you guys so much for your time today. We truly appreciate you spending your evening with us. And I'm again Sophia Porter, Executive Director of Black Orlando Tech. And you guys have a great and safe night.
Awesome. Thank you.